Looks like we're live. Well, hello, Jacqueline.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So this is our last in our series of 6 months. We've been doing this together. It's been so much fun.
I can't believe
And
it's been 6 months.
I think it has
It
been.
doesn't feel like
Yeah,
it.
I know. This is our sixth one, right? It's like,
Yes.
it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. Well, for those of you joining us, welcome today to Gather and Grow series that we've been doing all year long. And today's about making the shift towards purposeful productivity. And we're going to talk about several things, one of which is the fuel method. So, for those of you who have not joined us before, I want to introduce myself. I'm Dana Williams, and I'm an executive coach. I work with a lot of corporate teams, help them really manage themselves from the inside out so that they can lead their teams and their companies to great success. I'm thrilled to be here with Jacqueline and let her introduce herself.
Hi, team. Good morning. Yes, my name is Jacqueline Robinson. And like Dana, we really bonded over this idea of helping individuals and companies thrive. I work often with mid-size and enterprise companies. I work with professionals, managers, teams, leaders, as they're thinking about ways to take their engagement or their well-being or even their talent from good to great.
Love that. I think we both love the good to great message from our strengths. We both use strengths as one of our tools to help people flip the strengths. So now this slide might look a little close, but I'm gonna kind of guide you through it. This is why we're on this topic today. There is a challenge in our world with attention, focus, and productivity, and the stats are pretty sobering. And what we want you to do throughout today, as we bring up information, we want you to feel free to write us a message in the chat. We would love to hear from you, hear any questions you may have. This one might bring up some questions. So did you know, I'll start over here to the left, but did you know that the attention span and digital focus for humans right now is 8.25 seconds? So I was thinking about this in church yesterday when the pastor was speaking. I was like, okay, he's got
World of TikTok.
it's like you only have 8.25 seconds. So what are you going to say and how clear are you going to be? And how are you going to connect? Right.
Yes.
So that is so important, whether you're leading a team or an organization or you're a coach, 8.25 seconds. So it's powerful. Productivity. There's a focus. The focus efficiency is 62%. It's down 8% over the past year since 2024. And a lot of that has to do with all of distractions and all the things going on, which is our next number, which is 40%. So I don't know about you. I'm guilty of this task switching, right? I'm like, oh, let me grab my phone or let me check this. And we're constantly checking many different channels to get information. So task switching costs us as much as 40% of someone's productive time per the American Psychological Association. So again, that's a number that is getting higher because people are trying to multitask more. But I know there's some other data out there about how switching isn't good for you or good for your brain, right? So trying to stay focused. I know focus is one of your strengths, Jacqueline. So how do you make yourself focus in that kind of situation when you find yourself looking and, looking outside and, doing all the different things at one time?
Yes. Bird watching or something.
Bird watching. Where's that squirrel, right?
We've all seen an Instagram video where they say, or some of you might have, but it's about, oh, I was cleaning in my room and then I realized that, I need to go wash the dishes and now it's time to do laundry. It can be difficult. I think it's just locking in and saying, do I just want to dedicate a day for X project or just for calls or just for, creativity versus even 2 to 3 hours, which works for some people, but not for others. And so I think it's finding where can you have that chunk of time so that you're not constantly task switching. I don't think we can always turn it off, but how do we reduce it?
And how do we be aware of it? And I think those are some of the things when we talk about all these problems right now, we're going to talk about some solutions for them. and how it's really going to be crafted towards you and your uniqueness that's going to help you manage that. The other one, number 4 here, is email and communication patterns. So 6 minutes is the average check frequency rate. So every 6 minutes, somebody is checking their email. And the email just coming, and I keep hearing like, I sent that email. Did you not see it? I mean, I think a lot of corporations right now have the big blocks up and spam. So emails aren't getting through, but all the emails that are getting through every 6 minutes. It's crazy.
Yes.
And then here's the wildest one is technology use. Tools used daily, 9.4 applications used daily. I'm sure there's more for more of you, but feel free to put in the chat if any of these resonated with you, or if you're feeling like, oh yeah, that's me, I need to reduce that down. This is a problem. And we're going to really talk about what is the solution for this. And we have several different thoughts here to share with you today.
All right. Yeah. And step by step, we'll start with find. And find is really about identifying your authentic and most natural productivity pattern. So this is where we're going to thread in our love of CliftonStrengths. And if you've taken another assessment, you can think about that too. Anything that's strengths-based, you can consider here to say, how do my natural talents support my productivity? But how might they also get in the way or interfere with my productivity? And then we'll get into the 4 dimensions of leadership energy when we talk about unleash. There's 4 different aspects, 2 of which we don't always think about, that Dana's going to get into for us. Mm-hmm. And then once we know ourselves and we know where our energy is and where we're dedicating our time within those energy realms, we can start thinking about where do we want to eliminate those traps that get in the way of our productivity. Mm-hmm. Well, you might be guilty of getting too distracted, and it could be from task switching, or you might be guilty of just finding too much busy work on your plate, and you're just saying yes to everything to get lost in it. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to close out with lead, where you can start thinking about, how do I model this behavior and lead my team in a way that's going to be really constructive for them as well. One thing that we often consider is your team is looking up to you, whether you realize it or not. I think leaders are aware of that, but oftentimes you might not be aware that your energy and the energy you're giving off could also be impacting your team. So how are you just staying really cognizant to how you're showing up so that you can support your team in the best way, and that they can also start to take a lot of these themes you're learning today and incorporate them into their own life?
Yeah. And thank you, Catherine. Catherine just wrote, she's checking all the things when she's looking. And that is true, aren't we? We're afraid we're going to miss some. And sometimes as leaders, I think we tell our teams, oh, I'm available on all these channels, instead of making one channel be available that you're on. And we had to do that in our team. We kind of had to decide we weren't going to do Slack anymore. We were just going to do, yes. And some teams say no email, let's do Slack. So just whatever works, or text. But there are too many sometimes. And I think it's learning to do the timeout. So we're looking forward to kind of going through this model with you. And the first is to find your authentic productivity pattern. So Catherine, I know some of your strengths, and I can imagine you are looking at this list right now, thinking about your strengths and which ones you would use to help you in this situation. So I want Jacqueline to talk to us about discipline and focus, because she has these 2. And I love how this helps her and how it hinders her. So you want to talk about that?
Sure. So with discipline focus, the help here is that, you could be a natural productivity leader. We're always looking for ways to prioritize and then standardize or create some consistency and structure so that we can tackle those priorities. The issue is that we could become a little too rigid and perfectionistic. Doesn't help having maximizer in there. And that could actually impede on opportunities where we need to be more flexible or more creative in spirit. And so one thing to consider is flexibility and creativity is productive. Having those times to ideate or brainstorm is great. And allowing yourself that opportunity and your team that opportunity when you're leading is going to be really constructive. And so as someone with discipline focus, how do you build in time to be flexible? How do you build in time to be creative? It's just a matter of putting it in your calendar or your overall system so that you can basically give yourself the time to be creative. And I know anyone that might have those could be laughing because we don't always like surprises. So we just plan for it. It's like, oh, I know this is going to come. I just need to put it in my agenda.
And I love that. Working with you, it's been fun because I think we have complementary strengths. We also have some that match, but it's been fun to say, oh, she's going to get focused on that, and you do. You get really focused on it, and then you're good, and then you can brainstorm and all that. So I love that. I love how you shared that. So neither of us have includer or harmony, but what this strength does is it helps people be inclusive in their workflow. Yet the hindrance is they might overcommit to avoid conflict, and they might seek consensus or permission before they even move forward, which could take a long time and cause them definitely. So knowing that pattern, if you have includer or harmony, and being able to make it work for you by being inclusive, but also put the boundaries up if you're over committing to get feedback from people.
Yes. And then our achiever competition folks out there, talk about having that V8 engine inside of you. If you have these two themes, there's that tenacious appetite for workflow and seeing results. And it's wonderful because you're going to get work done. The hindrance is that you can take on work that isn't purposeful or priority driven just to, and competition might offset this some because competition is so focused on KPIs and results and numbers. But it's still something just to keep in mind of, am I just saying yes to things because I want to be the best of the best? But is it actually aimed towards your true goals or intentions?
And isn't achiever like top 10 across the world? People have achiever in their top 10 or top 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's one of those. And it's always been like the top 2. Achiever responsibility. They tend to flip flop as one of the top 2 themes.
So 9 times out of 10, you have people on your team with achiever. If it's not you, somebody on your team's got it. And so knowing that they've got that catalyst for action, and then how do we make sure we manage that for good, not for taking on too much.
Well said.
And then the last one is strategic analytical. So usually both Jacqueline and I have strategic. So strategic sees the big picture and can spot the patterns, plan A, plan B, plan C. So they can see pretty quickly the productivity problem, yet they might struggle a little bit just, executing the data and the information if the outcome is unclear. And so being clarity is kind here.
Yes.
Strategic, right?
Yes.
Any other thoughts on that one, Jacqueline?
I think you said it so well. If you just have one of those and not the other, strategic tends to get more anxious when they don't know what the outcome should be. Dana said it so well. It's that big picture. So think of Google Maps. And if you're at destination A and you have to get to destination B, but you don't know what destination B looks like, you don't know if the 5, 10, or 15-minute route is going to be faster because you don't know what that route is at all. It kind of feels like you're flying in the dark and there's no sight. And then when you have a theme like analytical, without having that data or the information along with that intended outcome, you don't have the facts to be able to make a pragmatic decision. And so combine the two of those and you could get really stuck if you don't have clarity. As Dana said, Brene Brown would say, clarity is kind. Where can you ask for that insight?
And you might have a partner, a work buddy, or a spouse that has analytical, and they just need the black and white of things. And you might be always big picture. So I love sharing how important it is to understand that not only in yourself, but in others as you're trying to move things along efficiently, but understand that productivity pattern works in pairs as well. So
yes.
Number 2 is unleash the 4 dimension of leadership energy. We love this one because we want you to think here about not managing your time, but managing your energy. we kind of say time management is dead and energy management is the future of leadership. So I was just in the green room talking to Jacqueline about this. She's been off, I don't know how many flights you've had in the last month. Like you mentioned to me, you were on an email that you had been on like 10 different flights, 10 different aircraft over like a week and a half, 2 week period of time. And then you've been doing a move and manage your business. And so how have you managed yourself? How have you unleashed your energy, and what have you been doing to manage like physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual?
Yeah, I was telling Dana that as soon as I got back home, I went right into recovery mode with my energy, and yoga and workouts are what help just increase my energy and make me feel whole again. And so I can see it threaded actually across all four of these dimensions. Yoga actually helps with all four because I'm doing something physical, but then you're balancing your emotions. And if you have the thoughts ruminating in your head of everything you have to get done now that you're home, there's so much mindfulness and pause. And I can also process my thoughts in yoga on the mat. And that helps with the mental clarity, and brings my emotions from a state of maybe anxiety or rumination to a state of calm. And then spiritually, it just helps me align more with purposeful productivity and what I feel that I'm here to do in terms of my mission and my values. And then of course I get that at the gym too. But I was telling Dana, in terms of energy, I also have to be aware of when I start to get drained, because on 10 flights, it's no surprise I caught a respiratory infection, lost my voice. And I was just depleted. So I'm still napping here and there, but my energy tends to go around 3 or 4 p.m. And so I've learned I've got to get in yoga or the gym early. I've got to help my family member with the move early, so the rest of the day I can just focus more on rest and recovery.
And what we're talking about here is really designing your day instead of living by default, knowing that you've got these emotional drains, but looking at your energy in these 4 different dimensions and how you can lead yourself. And what we're talking about is not just, okay, one and done. And this is a daily thing.
Yes.
And so we want to encourage you to take some time today and just find 90-minute window when you can accomplish and protect that time. What is for your most important work? For me, I get up really early and I do that first, after a workout, first thing in the morning, because I'm kind of like you, Jacqueline. Doesn't matter if I've been on trips or not, or sick or not. I just, by about 4 o'clock, I'm like done because I'm up so early, but that's what my thinking time is.
Yes.
So we'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. If there's one of these areas that you feel like you'd like to work on that you haven't been focused on. And I love the fact that Jacqueline talked about how yoga kind of accomplishes all of these. One thing, when I learned this, I was really kind of thinking emotional and mental energy was the same because they're both thinking, but they're different. And I think it's understanding our emotional reaction and what we're just feeling in the moment and why, and then how are we managing that. And then the mental energy, like Jacqueline was talking, is more about that strategic thinking, problem solving time. So really look at these in these 4 dimensions helps. So would love to hear any of those that you guys are working on or you want to work on, or maybe an area that you're starting to really focus on. But looking at them dimensionally, I think, is how. Anything
Yes.
else on that, Jacqueline?
Well, and I know both of us, we have our own companies. And so at this point in time, we can structure our day our way.
Yes.
So those, and we came from corporate. And so there's a lot of tips and tricks too there, where some people would have their power hour in the morning, and maybe from 8 to 9:30 is when they have more time because everyone's checking their emails at that time. And so that's an opportune time for a leader or a professional to focus on their high priority work. Or it's the end of day when everyone else starts to leave. So I've seen that, or I've seen new moms that are leaders in the workplace get in an early morning walk from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 before they even check their mail, so they can get in their email, I should say, so they can get in time with their newborn and exercise and have that mental clarity before they get back to work. And I just had a recent former colleague say, I started to let my physical well-being go to the wayside. I used to love my walks, started to resent that I wasn't getting it in. And so she'll find 15 to 30 minutes in the day now between meetings to just walk around the facility. So it's finding that time wherever you can.
I love that. I love that you brought that back too, because there's sometimes you don't have control once you step into the office with your meetings and all that. So being able to still design your day, but know that those ideas were great, Jacqueline. I thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So step 3 is eliminating the 3 traps that keep you busy yet unproductive. So last session, we talked about decision-making and boundary sessions and how to have, when we have poor boundaries, what to do about that. Those could be caused by reactive decisions. And we get stuck in a distraction because, like I was just telling Jacqueline, I had a friend pass away a week and a half ago, or almost a week ago. And I just distracted myself with things. I didn't really go through the grieving process. And until I realized I was distracting myself, did I realize I needed to take some time off and just kind of go through stuff. And then the overwhelm trap is you just keep taking on more and more. It's that achiever, right? That achiever. It's like in competition, we'll just take on more. We can do more. We can do it all. And we just underestimate the amount of things we can get done, or overestimate the amount of things we can get done in a day. And all of a sudden we're feeling burnout. And then it's just like, oh, if I'm busy, number 3, I'm being productive. But really, you look back and you feel like when you look at those numbers of how we're just being distracted and how we're checking our emails every 6 minutes and our attention span is 8 seconds, we're not really paying attention or doing that deep work.
Yes.
So, wow. So how do we eliminate these? Because these are traps that get us just so unproductive. So thoughts on this, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I was just thinking of everything you said, and it reminds me of Michael Hyatt, and he's got a book called Free to Focus, and he's just the guru in organizational time management. You reminded me of that when you were talking about these 3, because he'll often, kind of give an example of how you can get all this stuff done, but then you look back at the day and what was actually priority driven, aim towards the goals that you have or the outcomes that you have for your team or your department or yourself. And so he'll often talk about having 3. If you have a to-do list of 10 plus items, put the big 3 at the top and make sure you get through those regularly, daily. And then you'll get to the others as you can, but it guarantees that you're focused on your high priority work first and foremost before those other little distractors get in the way.
I'm glad you brought that up too. One of the things that I came up with was that strengths journal where you can actually put every day your top 3 things, but then you assign one of your strengths to those top 3 things. It used to be that I was like always trying to do it with other things, but when I realized, I don't have that gift, I need somebody else to help me with that. And learning to delegate, right? Learning to ask somebody else to do it instead of trying to do everything yourself. And I know as entrepreneurs, we have to be good at delegating and getting help and asking for help, because you can't do everything yourself.
Yes.
So I think that is a big thing. But then being able to apply your strengths to one of the 3 things you want to get done that day is really a big boost for you, because it gives you that energy. So we're encouraging you here just to take action and choose one of these behaviors to eliminate this week, and just intentionally. And that's what it is. It's setting an intention every day of what am I going to achieve today and why, and what are the 3 things I'm going to do, and what is one of the strengths that are going to help me do that. So for me, last week I had to get out of that distraction trap. This week is going to be probably making sure I don't get overwhelmed with all the things I've loaded before the holiday in my week. So how about you, Jacqueline?
I think it's similar. It's number 2.
Yeah.
of just thinking about what are the big 3 priorities that I want to tackle today, and then what can I get through this week if I don't get to it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like, yeah. So we have
What was that, JC? Hi,
JC.
JC.
Yes.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah. So JC's saying that she ends up trying to recharge from stressful days with more things on her plate. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. That is your achiever, right? Um, and on the most stressful days, those are the days you end up wanting to start a new home renovation project. Oh, there we go. Yes. JC, thank you for that. That is so true. Don't you know, we're all feeling that way. And we think we can just replace it with doing something else busier, or instead of just saying, it's okay to have a break. Our brains need it. Our body,
Yeah.
right?
It's right. It's right.
Well, tell us, Jacqueline, about step 4.
Yeah, so this is all about leading and guiding your team towards their purposeful productivity. So how do you do that through your sphere of influence? And the first is just doing the deep work. I like to call it the messy middle because it's not always fun. It is when it comes to like, I feel any strengths assessment, it's just exciting to learn about yourself, isn't it? To go, ooh, yeah, what are my strengths? And oh, I've heard about those hindrances or those blind spots or, the ways my themes can get in the way. But then there's also the deep work that can bring out of, how you're showing up. You might have a therapist that you're working with as well. And I think everybody should have a therapist.
Yes.
But the deep work isn't always fun because it can bring up junk that you have to work through. And that's what I call the messy middle. But once you're through that and you process and you start to see your natural instincts and how it can help you or hinder you, then that's where, self-awareness is the first step to really having the self-regulation and the self-expression in a way that's going to be constructive. So you got to do the work on yourself first. And when you're vulnerable and maybe even sharing that with people, and what I mean by that is a lot of leaders will say, oh, these are my talents, but I recognize how they can get in my way. Call me out on them. You could be my accountability partner. It allows other people to do the same. So they're going to now say, call me out when, you see me do X, Y, or Z. I'm okay with that. And that actually builds relationships in the workplace and supports excellence because people feel that they're able to provide that constructive feedback more. And then there's mission alignment, which is just checking in and saying, is the work that I'm doing and I'm asking my team to do in alignment with what our strategic initiatives are or our team or department goals are? Or have we gotten away from that? Because, hey, as a leader, I have high responsibility and includer. And I'm saying yes to work from my colleagues that isn't actually a part of our goals, but yes, we can do it. And now I'm overwhelming my team and we're chasing squirrels versus focusing on what we should be. And then managing your energy, as Dana said. So this could be personal, it could be professional, but out of those 4 areas, there was physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. They can get in the way. And if you're not clear on how you're showing up, that's impacting people because they can pick up on your energy. Just think about when you go to In-N-Out or Starbucks, you feel the energy of those employees. They're just so high on life and happy to be there. And then you've also walked into workplaces where it's just the energy feels heavy and the employees are disengaged. So I use that as an example, but people pick up on energy. So it's important to know how you're showing up. And then last is just creating that focused culture. So what are your productivity traps? And then how do you coach your team when you recognize that they might be falling into some as well?
Yeah, and they can feel it. Like Jacqueline was saying, you can feel it, they can feel it too. So it's that whole understanding yourself and then what intention are you going to bring into the workplace? So I agree with that. And really what this all gets down to is how do you protect yourself? How do you protect yourself, right? So how are you protecting that 90-minute energy window that you've got tomorrow? And I used to say this all the time to my colleagues at work, no is not a dirty word.
I love
It is a good word. And it means when you say no, it means no. I can't
Yes,
do it. We all want to help each other. We all want to be nice, but it's okay to say no.
that's so
Um,
true. If you lead with self-assurance, I always joke that no is one of our favorite words. We're like,
yeah,
no, I don't want
it's
to do
okay.
that.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
give that, lend that to people if you have it to say. Just say no.
That's right. Just say no. And then just replacing one busy work activity with strategic thinking time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then sharing those top 1 to 3 priorities with your team, making sure they know what you're focused on. So
Mm-hmm.
many times, I love it. I think we know from Q12 that people,
Yes.
when they are clear on their work, and if you just ask people, are you clear on what's expected of you today? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
what you need? Am I giving you, are you able to do your best things at work? Then that helps them prioritize when they know what you're clear about and they are clear about it, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things is clarity on what's expected, right?
Yes.
So, what's one action that you guys want to take in the next 24 hours? Just one from today. Feel free to write it in the chat and share with us. I know we're always looking for managing ourselves as well as ideas from others, but just that busy work. I'm going to just be really conscious of busy work.
Yeah.
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 And just not doing something just because it's keeping me distracted from something else, right?
Yes. I
Yeah.
continue to ask myself that over the past week as well is because there's so many, as you mentioned, I'm helping someone with a move and then managing the business, and then I was recovering from being sick. And so I had to keep asking myself, out of the 10 things spinning in my head, what are the biggest priorities that I need to tackle today? What are the biggest priorities I need to tackle today? And so sometimes it's just asking yourself that one question on repeat throughout the week to just stay very clear on it.
Yeah. And making it a familiar practice so that
Mm-hmm.
your subconscious will just do it after a while. I know the days that I don't do it, that I don't do the strengths or I don't kind of
Yes.
outline my intention for the day, it gets kind of wonky. So,
Yeah. Little
yeah.
cuckoo. Little
Yeah.
cuckoo in the brain.
We take a day off. We're going to have Labor Day coming up soon. So, yeah. So that's good. So as we think, this is one of my favorite things, and it's coming out in my new book, but it's just, we don't want you to be more productive. We want you to be more you. And I think what happens is when we're trying to be more productive, we're not really being ourselves and we don't really align with the authentic purpose and the productivity that we've been talking about throughout this. I think it feels forced and it doesn't feel real, but when
Mm-hmm.
it's coming from that authentic center of yourself, it's just more of you. And
Yes.
that's why there's only one you. So we just want you to be more of that and continue. So, love to hear your thoughts on this as we get ready to close out and see if y'all have any questions or thoughts that have come up for you, or maybe it's an action item that you want to take away from today. We
Yes.
would love for you to share with us.
Hopefully you feel seen, heard, and valued for it. I know I did when I was looking at the 9 applications.
Mm.
Because I remember starting Zooms, especially in corporate, because you've got your meetings or your calls, and you're just connecting with people throughout the day. And it's like, oh, I'm trying to find you again, because who does that? We're all guilty of pulling up our
Yes.
Zoom, we log in or Teams and we're waiting for somebody. And in that period, we have 8 different websites up or applications up, and we
Yes.
hear their voice come on and we're like, oh, hang on, I'm trying to find you again. And we're trying to find the Zoom or the Teams so we can get off mute and find them. So I felt very seen when you were going through the statistics.
Yeah. But there is a solution, right? And it's really up to us. And it's hard work uh,
Yes.
because we don't want to do the deep work sometimes. But I can tell you there's freedom there when you start doing that work. And when you find a partner to partner up with that can help you with the things you don't really want to do or do that well. And they can do the things that much better that you can't do well. So I find that powerful partnerships is the key too in all of this. So Jacqueline, why don't you share kind of what you've got coming up as we get ready to close out? You've got some exciting things happening.
Yeah, I have a couple of things happening this fall. And the reason I wanted to do them more openly and publicly is because it's come up in coaching or in client-based workshops. And so if you are a coach and you use CliftonStrengths, this workshop's designed in 2 parts. And the first is really to think about your own strengths and how do you use your talent themes to support your coaching practice of leaders or executives? How are you building trust and rapport? How are you applying some of those International Coaching Federation principles, and just really getting into the weeds of who you are and even the difficulties of who you might find difficult to coach based on, who they are and how they show up. And then the second part is really getting more into the what do leaders and executives often come to you for? What are some of those common themes that show up in the coaching practice? How do you coach on them? How do you offer even some new types of coaching themes? So, sometimes you're always looking for more tools and you're saying, okay, I've been coaching them, but I feel like we need a little something new or something different. What might I offer? What are some coaching questions that I could lean into? And so it's been very engaging so far. So that's why I have the smile on my face. It's an opportunity for coaches to come together and also say, this is what's working for me. These have been some great questions I've used. These are some themes that show up. You're not alone. Sometimes when I have to coach someone high in strategic and I don't have that, or high in influencing and I don't have that, this is where I struggle. We talk through those challenges as well. And then I have you all put your heads together and do some case studies of if you were coaching this leader and they have to coach this individual, how are you going to show up? These are their themes. These are your themes. And so it's been a lot of fun. So this will be broken down into 3-hour segments. It's a full day, but we're going to do 3 hours on day 1, 3 hours on day 2. And then we'll have a momentum call 4 weeks later to catch up and see how are things working for you? What are some best practices? What are some challenges you still have? And so the idea is that it becomes constructive for you and helps you have more tools and questions and community if you are a strengths-based coach coaching leaders.
I love this. I love that you get them together and help them and have them actually work together and then on case studies and then come back and do that momentum call. That's awesome. And there is a need for this because there's a lot of people out there coaching and it can be lonely. So being able to and connect with others and share. So on the other side of that, I am launching a book. Oh,
it's so exciting because we've been talking about this since we started the series.
It's launching next month. And we'll be announcing the date soon. But the whole book is called The Internal Revolution: Lead Authentically and Build Your Personal Brand from Within. And so some of the tools that we've been talking about over the last 6 months are included as we talk about leading internally. But I have this assessment you can take, and it's called the Authentic Imprint. You can just use that QR code and take the assessment. It's free. It'll take you 3 minutes and just see where you are in leading your team. If you're a coach or if you're a leader or you're an entrepreneur or an executive, anybody can take it and you can see where you are and what areas you might want to focus on. And we kind of drill down into not only strengths, but your core values, your mission, and then emotional recognition. So it's a little formula I created and trademarked called the Authentic Imprint. So I'm thrilled to share this with you guys. Stay tuned. Feel free to reach out to me or Jacqueline for either of these opportunities, and we'll be back. We'll be here on LinkedIn. And so we'd love to hear from you and just want to thank you for your time today and all the great comments, and really appreciate all of you guys working alongside us on our different little traps that we get into. So we're all human, but we want you to be you and be your authentic self every day. So thank you for being with us. And we just
put the links in chat for you both.
Yes.
We'll put both links in chat if I can speak, so that you all will have those in your tool. But thank you all. This has been 6 months.
It's been fun, and it's been fun with you, Jacqueline. And we'll see when this comes back again. When we decide to pop it in again, we'll let you know. But everybody have a wonderful holiday weekend, and get that rest. Be careful, not working too much. All right. Take care. Bye.